Coming up on this Wednesday edition of Daybreak, South Korea's new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff says North Korea could wage war without the consent of its allies China and Russia, while making note of Pyongyang's nuclear capabilities. The leaders of Korea and Poland agreed to upgrade their relations to a strategic partnership as they sought ways to bolster cooperation in bilateral investment, energy, and defense. Plus, Syria's opposition national coalition refrains from agreeing to the West's calls to attend future negotiations on ending the Syrian war and says it will not participate unless Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is ousted. Daybreak begins now. You're watching Daybreak on Wednesday, October 23rd, and I'm Choi Yoo-sun in Seoul. The head of South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, Choi Yoon-hee, says he thinks North Korea could wage war against the South without an agreement from its allies China or Russia. The remarks came during a parliamentary audit Tuesday when Choi was asked by a ruling party lawmaker when and under what conditions a war could break out on the Korean peninsula. The top military commander responded that Pyongyang could instigate a war if it thought its security was being threatened or if there was a change in the current military status quo between the two Koreas, such as a fracture in the Korea-US alliance. At the nation's presidential office, President Park Geun-hye held a summit with visiting Polish President Bronisław Komorowski on Tuesday. The two leaders agreed to upgrade diplomatic relations to a strategic partnership with the aim of further strengthening cooperation in various sectors, especially on the investment and defense fronts. To that end, two MOUs were signed, one on defense cooperation and the other on double taxation. Korea is moving forward with a project to export T-50 fighter jets to Poland, which is expected to be worth some $400 to $500 million. The Polish leader is the first European head of state to make a state visit to Korea since President Park came into office in February. President Park has called on her cabinet ministers and political parties to make every effort to create a business environment that's favorable to investment. During a cabinet meeting Tuesday, President Park said each and every bill that has yet to win parliamentary approval is directly linked to investment and job creation. These bills outline plans to promote foreign investment, increase tourism, and foster startup companies. She reminded those gathered of the government's target of a 3.9% growth for next year, up from an estimated 2.7% expansion this year, and said the goal cannot be reached if there are obstacles to investment. Now, the president's remarks come as the parliament remains in deadlock over the spy agency's alleged election meddling. In a latest development, the Defense Ministry on Tuesday raided its cyber warfare command headquarters as an inquiry into the investigative team was called. Our political correspondent Kim Hyun-ji has the details.
The nation's acting prosecutor general, Kayle Classic, on Tuesday ordered an inspection into an internal conflict between a special task force investigating allegations that the spy agency meddled in last year's presidential election and the task force's superiors. Prosecutor Yoon Sung-yeol, who had been leading the probe, was removed from the task force last week for overseeing raids on the homes of 4 NIS officials and detaining 3 of them, all without the permission of his superiors. However, Yoon said at a parliamentary audit Monday that he did report his plan to his superior, Cho Young-gon, the chief of the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office. Yoon said he visited Cho's house on the night of October 15th to discuss adding a new charge to the indictment against former spy agency chief Won Se-hun, who was indicted in June on charges of ordering an online smear campaign against the Democratic Party candidate in last year's presidential election, Moon Jae-in. However, Yoon's superior Cho said Yoon never officially asked for his authorization. Meanwhile, the Defense Ministry announced Tuesday that 4 members of its secretive Cyber Warfare Command Unit have admitted to having posted comments online in favor of the ruling party ahead of last year's presidential election. The ministry said, however, that the 4 members were only expressing their personal thoughts and were not given any orders from the top. The clash between the former lead prosecutor investigating the NIS case and his superior has in turn sparked another row between the rival parties. The ruling Saenuri Party has ordered the prosecution to get its house back in order, while the main opposition Democratic Party says the December presidential election was rigged. Kim Hyun-ji, Arirang News.
Amid a record-long buying spree, Korean shares owned by foreigners has hit a 6-year high, raising expectations of a brighter outlook for the local bourse. New data from the Korea Exchange shows that overseas investors held nearly 1/3 of the stocks traded on the main bourse and the tech-heavy Kosdaq, worth roughly $414 billion. This is the highest proportion since 2007, when foreign ownership accounted for about 33% of Korean shares. Foreigners purchased about $198 million worth of local shares on Tuesday, buying for a 38th consecutive session to extend the longest streak on record. At the closing bell, the benchmark Kospi closed up nearly 0.2% to 2056, its best finish since August of 2011. The tech-heavy Kosdaq also finished up 0.5%, while on the foreign exchange counter, the Korean currency closed stronger against the greenback at 1,061 won. Korean exports to Japan are being hit hard by Tokyo's so-called Abenomics stimulus policies, which are weakening the Japanese yen. The Korea International Trade Association said Tuesday that Korea's outbound shipments to Japan dropped by more than 13% in August compared to the same month last year. Exports to Japan have now been falling for 7 straight months. Further highlighting the contraction, the report shows Korea's exports to Japan in August accounted for less than 6% of Korea's total exports. The same figure was at nearly 8% at the start of the year. Here in the country, getting hitched can require deep pockets. The average cost of a wedding in the nation has skyrocketed to nearly $50,000 per person, which is almost double the average annual salary of a Korean worker. Our Park Ji-won tells us where all the money goes.
The Korea Consumer Agency recently conducted an online poll of 1,000 people who either got married or had children who got married in the past 2 years. The results show that the average wedding cost per person stands at slightly more than $49,000. The cost includes wedding meals and decorations, presents, and the honeymoon, but excludes housing. Men spend a little more than women on average because grooms tend to have more wedding guests and therefore spend more on meal expenses. The cost of the wedding depends on where the couple ties the knot. Hotels are the most expensive venues for weddings at an average cost of more than $22,000, followed by wedding halls, churches, and public places. And then there's the matter of where to live. Only about 11% of newlyweds decide to continue living at their current residences. The rest choose to either buy or pay jeonse, a Korean system of paying a lump sum deposit to rent apartments. The survey results show that those couples who decide to buy new homes spent about $256,000 on average, while couples deciding to rent on lump sum deposits spent about $145,000. 85% of the respondents in the Korea Consumer Agency survey said they felt that Korea's wedding culture is overly extravagant, but said they went through with all of it anyway because of social pressures.
There should be a change in individual perception or weddings. Most weddings in Korea are designed around parents or around leaving a good impression on guests. Wedding couples need to take more initiative by designing their own weddings in a unique and original way with a smaller number of guests.
The agency also urged the government to devise measures to support ceremonies at public places for those who want the wedding but not the hefty bill. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiations.
President Park Geun-hye planned, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a.
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday that Western and Arab powers and Syrian opposition leaders agreed that President Bashar al-Assad should have no role in the future government of Syria, but questions remained about whether the National Coalition in Exile will attend a critical round of peace talks. At a meeting of the 11 countries making up the Friends of Syria group in London on Tuesday, Britain's Foreign Secretary William Hague urged Syria's main opposition group to participate in the talks. But the Syrian National Coalition says it will not attend if Assad's removal from power is not a stated goal of the meeting. Hague's U.S. counterpart John Kerry also said he hoped the opposition would attend. SNC head Ahmad Jarbas said the coalition would decide at a meeting in Istanbul next week whether to participate in the talks in November. The U.S. unemployment rate fell to 7.2% last month, despite lower than expected jobs numbers. The U.S. Department of Labor reported Tuesday that the unemployment rate fell 0.1 of a percentage point from 7.3% in August to 7.2% in September, the lowest level since November of 2008. The government had expected 180,000 new jobs, but said employers appear to have cut back on hiring ahead of Washington's budget battle. Still, the hiring last month was enough to bring the unemployment rate down. The U.S. economy has added an average of 143,000 jobs a month from July through September, fewer than the 182,000 average gain from April through June. It has taken more than 2 decades for Myanmar's opposition leader and political activist Aung San Suu Kyi to take home a world-renowned human rights award. And when she finally received the 1990 Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought on Tuesday, Suu Kyi said Myanmar has made some progress towards democracy, but that there is still more work to do. Speaking at the European Parliament, Suu Kyi said she wants to ensure that freedom of thought is fully guaranteed and preserved in Myanmar, and in order for that to happen, the constitution should be revised. The daughter of General Aung San, considered a hero of the independence movement, Suu Kyi had been under house arrest for 15 years under authoritarian military rule until she was freed in 2010. The bodies of 3 Korean passengers who died in a plane crash last week in Laos have been found and identified. Korea's foreign ministry said Tuesday that a local search team confirmed the identities of the 3 victims through their fingerprints. The Lao airplane crashed into the Mekong River amid bad weather, killing all 49 passengers and crew members on board, including 3 Korean businessmen. Authorities are still trying to recover the bodies of the remaining 6, as well as the black box recorder, to determine the exact cause of the crash. It's that time of year when a growing number of Koreans head to outdoors to take advantage in the changing of the leaves. And more are choosing to fully immerse themselves in nature. Our Yoo Yan reports on the recent camping boom here in Korea.
This campground is right in the middle of Seoul. Due to its location and its spaciousness, it has become a favorite spot for wary urbanites who no longer have to venture out of the city to get a breath of fresh air.
It's nearly impossible to book a camping site here because the spots fill up so quickly. I was lucky enough to get in today because someone canceled at the last minute.
Those who have camped out here say it feels like a well-earned break from the daily grind.
We live in an extremely fierce and competitive world. Coming out here in nature, I feel a sense of healing, so I keep coming back.
These urban campers aren't alone. Camping has fast become a popular leisure activity here in Korea. The number of campers in Korea has doubled since 2010 to 1.3 million this year. That in turn has given rise to a boom in the camping supplies market, which is expected to reach $560 million this year, a more than threefold increase since 2010. In fact, the whole camping experience has gotten more comfortable in the last 3 years as campgrounds evolve to better accommodate their guests. Each campsite even has a mini kiosk like this so campers can easily gain access to electricity. Experts say the camping boom comes as a part of a rising trend toward mental health and wellness as more people feel the need to relax and escape from their daily routines.
What we're seeing now is youth unemployment, a rise in the number of homeless and early retirements. It's hard to get a job, and even those with a job are facing pressures to retire early. This is creating a lot of anxiety and stress. They are hurting, and they want a sense of healing through leisure activities like camping.
From outdoor enthusiasts to office workers, many people are trading in a typical evening out in the urban jungle for a night out under the stores. Yurian, Arirang News.
As more movies are made into 3D, many movie fans are complaining of dizziness and also just the hassle of wearing those plastic glasses. As Son Jung-in reports on new screens made by local developers that have advanced the 3D experience.
This futuristic movie screen has a panoramic 270-degree view which spreads from the front all the way to both sides, filling your range of vision completely. Using the side walls of theaters as additional screens, this 3-screen format allows viewers to feel they're actually inside the film.
We shot the same scene simultaneously using 3 cameras from different angles to create 270-degree coverage. Therefore, it gives you an immersive experience similar to watching 3D movies.
It's winning rave reviews from viewers, as it does not require 3D glasses, nor does it make you dizzy or queasy like with some 3D screens. For the first time ever, local cinema chain CJCGV and Public Research University KAIS have introduced this new 270-degree screen with multi-projection technology. Experts expect the market to grow and gain popularity as it costs a lot less than high-priced 3D screens.
We plan to approach diverse overseas markets, starting with the United States, Malaysia, and Indonesia.
The 3-side screen has already been installed at 22 theaters nationwide, with more to follow later this year. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
And a good Wednesday morning to you all as we kick things off with the 2013 National Sports Festival currently taking place in Incheon. Now going into this event, a lot of fans had high expectations for Marine boy Park Tae-hwan and hope he would win 5 gold medals this year. Well, it's getting actually closer now after helping Incheon City Hall win the 800-meter men's relay. Of course, going into the finals as the 4th swimmer in the relay race, Incheon City Hall was in 5th place before the Marine boys stormed past everyone the last lap to finish first and claim the gold medal. With the gold medal finish, that's his 4th gold medal in 4 events as he hopes to win his 5th gold medal on the 24th during the 400-meter men's medley event. And moving over to the majors with Chu Shin-soo hitting free agency, there are a lot of teams that want to sign him. Well, the problem is not a lot of teams in the majors can afford him unless that team is the New York Yankees. According to several sources, the general manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman, has stated that he's going to go after Chu Shin-soo this offseason. With Curtis Granderson hitting free agency this offseason and the team without a leadoff hitter and outfielders, Chu should be a great fit for the team. Meanwhile, the Yankees are also going after Brian McCann of the Atlanta Braves and Stephen Drew of the Boston Red Sox as they hope to rebuild an aging team. And moving over to domestic football, where Kayle Classic officials met up to talk about next season. And the biggest topic was whether or not they should keep the split format system they've been using for the past 2 seasons. While the new system brought excitement for the fans and teams vying for the top half of the standing, also led to the league facing more problems with the attendance. All the teams in the bottom half of the table have been seeing less and less fans come out to the stadium since there's really nothing to look forward to in the second half of the season for them. Now, due to the lack of attendance, the split format has brought league officials are thinking about shifting back to the old format next season. Moving over to golf, after an impressive 3 consecutive LPGA major titles to start off the season, Park In-bi hasn't been doing too well after that. And although she still has the #1 world ranking, she's slowly losing that lead as well. With the latest LPGA world rankings coming out yesterday, Park In-bi remains the top female golfer in the world with 11.98 points. And right behind her, just 0.89 points, is 32-year-old Suzanne Petterson, who's been dominating the course in the second half of the season. With 4 more events to go in the season, Park In-bi hopes to hold on to her #1 spot. And now finishing things off with Tuesday night KBL action, we had one game that took place last night as the Seoul Samsung Thunders took on Wonju Dongbu Promi. And of course, going into the game here, a first quarter here, big one from the Samsung Thunders as they outscored Dongbu 29-15 to take a comfortable lead from the start. Second quarter, Dongbu starts rallying as they finish off the first half down 45-34. Third quarter comes along, Dongbu keeping it close in this game as they cut the deficit to 71-61. Now a big game from Samsung's big man Jasper Johnson, who puts up 25 points and 8 rebounds, but Dongbu with a huge fourth quarter rally back as Kim Ju-sung with a last-second game-winning shot helps Dongbu rally back and take this game 85-84, your final score. And that wraps it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Happy Wednesday morning to you. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, the top temperature today is expected to be similar as yesterday with abundant sunshine. And if you haven't had a chance to enjoy the weather, today should be time to enjoy last warmth of autumn because we won't see similar warmth during the rest of the week. Besides, we'll have a cloud-free day today, so it will be a good idea to make the most of today's weather, taking a walk, going for a jog, or grabbing some coffee and sit on a bench. Because starting tomorrow, the temperature is expected to fall across the nation. Well, it won't be a huge drop, but cooler air will blow in and bring down the temperatures to below 20s in the central region for the afternoon. But on Friday morning, though, we'll start out at 6 and at 8 on Saturday morning. So early winter-like morning is in store again, and daytime highs will be hovering in the mid to upper teens. But good news is, though, even if we have chilly weekend ahead of us, it should be a rain-free one for the entire nation. So take that into consideration and make a plan for your weekend. It's time to take a look at the readings for today. Morning lows are similar to yesterday, and the afternoon high in Seoul and Daegu will get up to 22 degrees Celsius, which is 72 degrees in Fahrenheit, and Gwangju and Busan will make it to 23 respectively. Now let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like the high in Jeju and Daejeon should be similar at 21 to 22 degrees, while Dokdo will get up to 19, but Mount Kumgang will stay on the cooler side at 7 degrees today. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all for me at this hour. Enjoy your morning commute and hope you have a wonderful day.
And those are the stories we have for you at this hour. Thank you for watching.